The lower part of your body helps your stability, either cross-legged or sitting on a chair. And then your vertebrae, your back is straight, but it's like the vertebrae are coins, money stacked one on the other. So it's a way of thinking of our back so that we create a straight back. If you put the coins in a rough order, they will soon fall down. So this is to get a good balance of the coins or our vertebrae or our straight back. And particularly notice your shoulders and your neck, because this is where we often hold tension. And you can put your head just very slightly forward. You have to find the right position. It's just a very slight adjustment. Too far back and the mind becomes very scattered and busy. Too far forward, we become too sleepy. So this meditation is what we call the 9-round death meditation. But it's really important to remember what it's for. And it's so we live our life well and we face death with a peaceful mind. So when we think about these different points on the meditation, it's not to agitate our mind. It's to prepare ourselves. So we should start the meditation with quite a calm mind, peacefully accepting the nature of impermanence, and also putting fear to one side, because if we have really thought this through during our lives, this is what we can do at the death time. We can put fear aside and recognize it's just how things are. It's a process of change. And we'll know what helps and what doesn't help. And it's just how things are, because death is certain. Of course, we know this. But some days, sometimes, this thought is so far away, it's almost as if we didn't believe it. It only happens to others, not to me. Or I might be lucky, but it's a fallacy. There's no one that's ever escaped death. In 100 years' time, most of the people that are on this planet now will have died. Even people who were at the top of their profession, very well known through celebrity, once they get to a certain age, they pass away. It's not an option. I'm always getting closer to death. It's not getting further away, it's getting closer. From the time that I was born, it became closer and closer. We arose through causes and conditions, and those causes and conditions will end. That was there right at the beginning of our birth, or even our conception. So we're only going in one direction. In any day or any week or any year, the amount of time we spend on our spiritual development is relatively small compared to all the other things we do. Eating, sleeping, traveling, doing our jobs, whatever these things are. Even many good things that we do, doing activities for others. When we remember our spiritual purpose and do all these activities with our motivation of bodhicitta, this can increase the time we spend on even mundane activities and turning them to a spiritual purpose. But most of the time we forget to do this, and we're doing our mundane things with a mundane mind. Seven hours of sleep or 8 hours, whatever we normally do. For most of us, this is just an activity that actually, of course, it helps our physical condition. We need it. But again, it's often divorced from anything that is spiritual. We can harness it to make it a spiritual activity. But for many of us, most of the time, it's fairly mundane. It's a lot of time out of the time we have that we spend on these kinds of activities. The next main point is that the time of death is completely uncertain. It's not just old people that pass away. It can happen at any age. There are so many ways that our body can come to an end. Even eating the wrong food. Something that would normally sustain us can be the source of something that could lead to our death. So many examples of the most unlikely causes leading to someone to die. A small insect bite that becomes infected and complicated, etc. So many ways. Things that are relatively harmless in most situations can become the cause of death. When you look around, you could say that there are almost more potential causes for dying than there are for living. And our body is very fragile. We may feel strong, but when one of these conditions or incidences happen to us, actually our body is quite vulnerable. It's natural to wish for a peaceful time at the death when it comes. So what will help us have a peaceful death? It's not something we can buy. We can't purchase it. We can purchase some things that will make us comfortable, but the actual death journey is not dependent on money or any wealth that we have. In fact, our attachment to it could cause us a lot of distress at the time of death, when we realize we're leaving it behind, or we haven't sorted out our will, or we haven't left it in a way that we meant to. Leaving the security of our wealth can be frightening. Our dear friends and relatives can support us, can make us more comfortable, can be soothing to our mind. But leaving them can be extremely sad and hard. And no matter how much they do for us at the death time, we have to separate. If we're not prepared, the separation is even harder. And it's time to leave our body behind. This body that's been with us all these years. It's natural to have parts of your body that you're less keen on, but actually we're quite attached to our bodies. We don't like it when they suffer, but the thought of separating from the body is again quite hard unless we're prepared. So much of our identity is caught up in our body. It's been our means of doing so much in this life. But at death, it's just a hindrance. It's the source of suffering and something we must separate from. So what's left? The way we have cultivated our mind stream throughout the precious opportunity this life has given us is something that can transfer with us. These imprints that we take with us can make the journey itself easier. And it means we don't have to start completely from scratch all over again. We lose this identity, but we can carry through some of these good qualities and imprints. So these, along with the mind that we die with, are very important in terms of our future. So this is the usefulness of knowing that death is certain, and that its time is uncertain, and that our spiritual development is what helps at the time of death. So spend a few minutes on where this meditation has led you to and what you can feel confident about, how this meditation can be useful to you. Just focus your mind on that.